Welcome to City News TV. I'm Kourtney Williams.
And I'm Raven Frederick.
And thank you for joining us here at the historic Gallier Hall.
And today we welcome everyone to Bayou Classic Week, and we also celebrate UNCF.
Now let's talk a little bit about our panelists who are sitting here right now. I want to start with our special guest, the one and only Mayor LaToya Cantrell.
Thank you for having me.
Xavier University HBCU graduate at that.
That's it.
And our other special guest, the UNCF family, Ms. Therese Badon, the Senior Vice President for Development for the UNCF Southern Region. Thank you. And Ms. Bridget Fleury, UNCF Area Development Director. Thank you.
And we are pleased to be joined by a person who has a deep connection with UNCF. She is not only a storyteller and an author, but she is also an HBCU scholar. We welcome Dr. Nadrea Njoku.
Thank you.
Now let's go ahead and dive straight into the conversation now that we know a little bit about everybody here on the panel. I'm going to go ahead and start with Mayor LaToya Cantrell. Mayor, she's like, okay, let's do it. We have a lot of stuff going on. We are pretty much in a holiday mix. We have Thanksgiving, then we go into Christmas, and after that, we go into a historic 2025, which just so happens to be the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. Tell me a little bit about how your experience as an HBCU grad has pretty much brought you to this point, starting off as a community leader in the Broadmoor neighborhood and then a city councilwoman and now mayor for the city of New Orleans.
Well, next year will also be my 35th year in the city of New Orleans. And, you know, my story is my soul found its home in New Orleans. I came to the city to attend Xavier University of Louisiana, and I have just been giving all my time and love right back to the city that's given me so much.
Absolutely.
And Ms. Therese, hearing the mayor's story, just talk about why it's so important to support our UNCF schools for the next generations to come.
You know, it's so important to support our schools because our HBCUs, they are the backbone to our communities. They are the drivers that bring all of us together. It doesn't matter if you're an XU grad or a DU grad like I am, a proud graduate of Dillard University. Okay, you have your blue on. I see you. Me too. But, you know, they're the fabric of our community, and they need our support more so now today than ever before. So we look to the community, we look to our corporate community, and we ask them to continue to support these engines. They're mighty, but they're only as mighty based upon the funding that we get from these entities. And we could do more as a community. There are so many students that, you know, come to UNCF, but unfortunately, there's some, I want to be real, there's some we have to turn away because we do not have all of the revenue to support these, some of the students. We give away in scholarships almost $65 million a year to about 12,000 students, but there's more that's needed. So our institutions are valuable and they are vital to our community. So we ask for continuous support.
Absolutely, and the fact of the matter is too is that our students come with disparity gaps oftentimes, and the first generation college student are wanting to keep the legacy alive, and they tend to start off in the red even after they finish college. And so we really want to look at them as creating that transferable wealth so that they start off in the black and have a real chance, you know, of success. Because hey, I wouldn't have made without student loans. It's just a fact. And so paying student loans and starting off in the red, you feel like you never can come up because you're always, you know, you're starting off again in a hole. And so this is an opportunity to really invest in our young people so that they're starting off in the black and have a real chance of building transferable wealth as our ancestors really, we on the shoulders now.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Absolutely, and I think it's important to mention that, you know, Mayor is speaking about her own personal experiences, but the research shows that 90% of students who attend HBCUs receive financial aid. some type of financial aid. More than 60% of them are Pell Grant eligible, and if you're Pell Grant eligible, that means you're below, you're inching towards the poverty line. That means your parents have virtually nothing to contribute financially to your college education. So yes, they are first generation students. They are striving for social mobility, economic mobility, and virtually all of them receive some type of financial aid. And one of the best parts about the United Negro College Fund is that they help those students. It's an inch, but the students are taking a mile after they graduate.
Absolutely. And working while they're going to school. And, they're exceeding. And that's what this is about, helping them do more.
Absolutely, and I'm so glad that we're talking a little bit about this. I want to go straight into funding. Bridget, you work hand in hand with the community and different universities and schools pretty much to get that funding that's needed for those UNCF universities. Tell me a little bit about that and why that's so important.
Well, here in New Orleans, we have great business partners and community outreach that support us in order to help the students. Last calendar school year, we awarded over $1.5 million in scholarships to students, and in the city of New Orleans and Louisiana, but specifically for the city of New Orleans, just over 500,000 of that goes to the students at approximately an average of $5,000 a scholarship per semester. Now, these scholarships are renewable for some. Some of them are based on merit, and others are at need. One of the scholarships that I always speak to because it's at my heart, a lot of people, you need to have a 3.5, a 3.0, but UNCF offers a scholarship called the Mighty Middle, and that means you can have a 2.5. You know how many students, strive for that 3.0, but sometimes just miss the mark? Well, there are scholarships available for them as well. And what the scholarships help us to do is to help the universities as well by keeping the tuition low. Correct? So we have two events here in the city of New Orleans. We just completed our UNCF Walk of Education, but now we have our upcoming UNCF Mayor's Mask Ball that we have every year, and this is our premier gala event that we look for everyone to support to help us raise the funds for these scholarships for the students.
Yes. And I was just about to add to what Bridget was saying. We do these events all around the country, the UNCF Mayor's Mask Balls, and they really help us to generate the revenue that we need. They're our signature event across the country, and people come and they enjoy it. But the most critical thing is that we have revenue that's generated from these events that are changing lives. Yes. They're life-changing events. So we encourage everybody, when you hear about them, take part in them, be a part of them, and we appreciate our mayor here for investing her time and her talent and being a part of this unique event.
Absolutely, and like we said, this is the United Negro College Fund's Mayor's Mask Ball.
That's right.
Held all around the country.
That's right.
So don't call and ask for no ticket to the ball because guess what? This is, again, we're fundraising for future generations.
That's right.
And it's right now.
That's right.
So thank you.
Yes. And then while we're here with economics, Dr. Njoku, just kind of talk to why your research is so valuable, both economically and culturally, for these students, for these institutions.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here, not just with the mayor, but my sisters from UNCF. I used to direct the Frederick D. Patterson Research Institute, and one of our hallmark research reports was about the economic impact of HBCUs, not just nationally. So from that report, we understand that $16.5 billion is generated for economic support. That includes job creation and student spending nationally. But when we look at Louisiana's HBCUs produce $1.1 billion annually for the state. So that's jobs. That's nearly 9,500 jobs for Louisiana that these HBCUs create. And when you talk about New Orleans, that's nearly $480 million annually that our New Orleans HBCUs create. And then if we're talking about the students, you have to put these institutions in context of the economic engines that they are and think of them as businesses as well. They're job creators. They create jobs not just on campus, but off campus. You can't have a huge college facility, residence halls without electricians, landscapers, consultants, financial support. They do audits annually every year. So these aren't just black schools or black colleges. They're huge businesses for their economies and the communities they exist in.
Oh yeah, but hey, let me tell you who they're educating. They go off to lead communities, to lead corporations around the world, not just the United States of America. And I mean people who are just have the passion to get the job done, but who deliver. Just I can't say enough about how the HBCUs pour into who you are as a person. And you're committed to not only the service you provide, but again, you're committed to the community that you're serving. So it's a force multiplier when you're investing in a young person attending an HBCU. It's legacy and it's generations. And so I don't know where I would be, quite frankly. And when you think about, hey, when we were, as our ancestors were trying to be educated, they found a way to educate us, and it's through these systems. So who they produce, I think second to none when you're talking about the quality of the individual that's going on.
And you know what's funny, Mayor and team? I never forget just going around the country and meeting with people from corporate America. It never fails. Top executive or whomever, guess where they attended? An HBCU. So we produce leaders, you know, we produce entrepreneurs. We produce people who have the world in their hands, who are out there, who are really turning the tide, if you will, and promoting our HBCUs. They're phenomenal individuals, and they're all across the country.
You leave an HBCU, you leave in knowing who you are. You have the self-confidence to stand in the midst of any adversity that comes your way. You're leaving understanding, again, whom's you are. And so you're built up from within. So when you're built up from within, oh my goodness, take your best shot, you know?
Can't be stopped.
It's true.
Patterson's research shows that more than 50% of the students who graduate from HBCUs get their first job out of college with their connection to the HBCU community. So I graduated from Xavier, and I got my first job out of college at Xavier, but I'm a Xavierite, but I employed women that graduated from North Carolina A&T or women who graduated from FAMU. Like, there is a natural connection, and you believe in each other.
That's right.
So you hire them because you know the product.
That's right.
Because you are also the product.
That's exactly right. And you leave with friends for a lifetime, allies for a lifetime, mentors. I think about Dr. Silas Lee. I mean, from day one, and he still hadn't let me go. You know, you just can't beat that.
I also want to just make a point as well, because we're talking about New Orleans and we Bayou Classic and what that means for the culture. But I want to make sure everyone knows that the scholarships that UNCF gives, when I say Louisiana, you're a permanent resident of Louisiana, but maybe you attend Southern and Baton Rouge. So we're just not talking about Xavier and Dillard. I'm a Xavier alum as well, but we're talking about Morehouse. We're talking about Tilliston. There's several different universities that you can attend. So you just don't have to attend school in Louisiana. As long as you're still a permanent resident, but you're attending school out of state, you're eligible for scholarships as well.
And that's a great point. It really is.
I love that, and I want to go back to when you talked a little bit about, you know, being from New Orleans and attending schools in New Orleans. Both myself and Raven are born and raised here in the city of New Orleans and attended schools here, so we know, you know, I feel like no matter where you go, whether that's Vegas or, you know, Ohio, everywhere I go, I'm talking to people at the airport because I love to run my mouth. And so as we're talking, they're like, oh yeah, I went to Xavier or I went to Dillard. And I'm like, okay, everywhere I go, I'm seeing all of these HBCU graduates. And then we have one sitting right here who I met, you know, when I started working in the mayor's office. So when you said, you know, pretty much everywhere you go, there's an HBCU grad, that is so true. Every single place you go. Now, Mayor, I want to get to you a little bit, talk a little bit about, you know, when it comes to HBCU grads, two things that always stuck out to me, even back when you were a city councilwoman, was you always said it's important to make investments on the front end, number one, and number two, the fact that the city of New Orleans is a world-class city. Tell me a little bit about why it's so important to make those investments on the front end when it comes to historically black colleges and universities.
Well, I think we've said it. It's the investment pays off in the future, not just for that individual who will go off to be great, but for the cities they go to, who they're representing, the corporations they work for. They are doctors, lawyers, and Indian chiefs, no matter where they show up. And when you say you go around the country and you see an HBCU grad, well, yeah, if they're black and they're professional, most often they're connected to an HBCU. And so, I was raised to focus on HBCU. My aunt came to Dillard to attend nursing school. My grandfather said she stayed too long. She ended up going to Tuskegee and finishing, from Tuskegee, another HBCU. So we're all connected and we're stronger together. And I believe that when we demonstrate that investment, you're bringing people along and you're encouraging others to invest in the future, in our people, because it really does matter.
And I want to kind of go into, we're sitting here, a panel of women, right? And we kind of already discussed how our HBCU has shaped our success. But let's talk about how it has shaped us in our success as a woman. Women face many barriers. And I'm talking within the school system, within our workforce, as mothers. So how has this experience shaped you as a woman? And that's kind of for each of you to just kind of pitch in on that. We can start with you, Dr. Njoku.
Oh, yes, sure. So, I'm so glad we're here at this panel talking about HBCUs. So for me, it started with my mom. When I was in second grade, she decided she wanted to become a teacher. She had graduated from high school. Shout out to John Mack graduates. She graduated from John Mack. I graduated from Ursuline. But she decided she wanted to be a teacher, and so she went to SUNO. And I was babysitted by all the professors, not to start no, wars up here, but all the professors at SUNO were AKAs. And so I was like, I gotta go to an HBCU and I gotta be an AKA. And so what I saw though, what I experienced was that our life changed. When she got that degree and I was in 8th grade, we went from working class to middle class, just on a teacher's salary. We got health care, we got a steady check. She was off on summer. She got to be with me and help guide me through my experience. And I was so excited about going to campus with her. I could barely contain myself. I just needed to go to college. And so I picked Xavier. I was an art major at Xavier. And I just had the time of my life. And my first job out of college was at Xavier in the wake of Katrina. I worked in student affairs. And we did alternative spring breaks for students who wanted to come to New Orleans and, gut homes, et cetera. And so that was the learning ground that I experienced. And I was homegrown, I wanted to contribute in every way possible. So when I went and decided I wanted to get a master's degree and a PhD, I got it in student affairs and higher education. And so I became a researcher on college. And that's kind of what I have devoted my life to, was to sort of carve out the narrative for how HBCUs change lives, but we by far change Black women's lives every single day.
And as a graduate of Dillard University and a member of the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, I have had the privilege to really not just attend Dillard, but also I had the opportunity to work at Dillard University for 6 years and really expand my knowledge on the importance. That's where I really found out the importance of HBCUs, because I was charged to raise money for HBCUs at the time. And it just opened up a window for me to see and to pour out of that these students are really in need. I thought I was in need because I was the first in my family to graduate from college, but I saw clearly the need and the support that our students needed. And then, Mary, you mentioned about having to work and go to college. Most of us did. You know, we're not looking for a handout. You know, we're just looking for equal access to college. And then after working at Dillard, I had also the opportunity now to serve as the Senior Vice President of Development. So I got to see it from all angles and still looking at it. And, you know, being a female woman in this role, I could say quite honestly, it's somewhat challenging, you know, because you have obstacles that's in your way. Some people don't like to see women in certain roles, and being a woman right now is somewhat challenging in this world around the country. So we just learn to take a licking and keep on ticking. Mm-hmm. I know my mother always told me I could be anything I wanted to be, do anything I wanted to do, and I have taken that and held to it. I don't feel intimidated as a woman. You cannot intimidate me. I am proud of who I am. I am grateful for Dillard University and the values and education that they instilled into me. And I am a leader, and I'm a proud leader, and I'm a proud woman leader. So,
Absolutely. Strong mother as well.
yes, you knew her well.
Yeah. And I'm saying you are
Oh,
strong.
absolutely, and a mother.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And a mother. Yes. And I am so proud of my son, if you don't mind me saying. I mean, he is a 4.0 student. He's had perfect scores on LEAP. He is just a joy to my husband and I, and we invest that time into him because we know what that outcome is going to be. And so I encourage all parents out there, make certain that you're investing the time now, not later on, because it might be too late. Do it now.
Because like what Mayor always says, when one person serves, the whole family is on the front line.
Exactly.
So it really matters. Mm-hmm. And that's, I see it every day. Mm-hmm. And same for you, as the area director of development director, can you speak to your experience being that you are an HBCU grad and as a woman working your way up that ladder?
I would have to, it's similar, and I think it's just the African American family experience. So it was poured into me from early on to be a leader and not a follower. And education was very serious in our household. There was no coming home with a C. There were, you shouldn't come home with a B as well. And that was from grammar school through college. New Orleans is a very, where did you go to high school type of location. So from grammar school going to St. Mary's Academy, it was instilled, the excellence that was required for you. And then going to Xavier University. I was always behind my grandfather, so my degrees in physics and math, I was always interested, and that pushed me to excel from freshman year with Dr. Greta, and then going to Xavier. Sister Therese, everyone knows that math, and she was strict, and my mother also worked at Xavier University in admissions, and so it has always been a requirement, not an option for education. And what that did was build up the confidence that was needed that you would utilize in corporate America and here at UNCF. So to be able to communicate, sometimes, yes, it's challenging as a woman, but we tend to be persistent. And so, we're persistent in our ask, and especially when we know what we as a product of a HBCU, we know what the opportunities that if given the opportunity that we're going to excel. So we know the students are going to excel. Even if you're coming for a low income, that's what they're holding on to. They're holding on to their education in order to succeed, and they need our assistance, and we want to be there to help them do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. You made me think about, my family. So I was raised in Los Angeles and also in Birmingham, Alabama. So my paternal family, Birmingham, my maternal family, California. And so there was an expectation that I was going to college by my family in Alabama. And you're going to an HBCU, all of them, Alabama State, A&M, Dillard, And in California, well, I didn't necessarily have to go to college, but I had to work. So the work ethic was there. But I'm going to tell you, when I decided to attend Xavier, and in California, and I was always involved, civically engaged, and always praised. I was in an environment that was majority white, and so praised, and oh, you do this, and all this kind of stuff. So I get to Xavier, Lord have mercy. My first experience, though, being in an all-black environment, in my classroom and the like, and I felt like I didn't know anything. You mean self-esteem in the tank? Well, I was built up, in these other environments. But when I was amongst all mine now, of course, my family, I had that exposure, and I wanted to be like my aunt and But in the environment, oh my goodness. But what I learned, pick it up, baby. I had what was required, but it was in that first semester. But I built my confidence up. It gave me everything that I needed to thrive as a woman and not second guess myself. And that's what I took away from Xavier. I mean, knowing who you are and whom's you are. And it's the only Catholic black, HBCU in the country. So that was very much instilled in me there. But no doubt about it, just understanding who you are, I think is the foundation that you need to stand on. And an HBCU builds you up from the inside out.
And your peers, because they're going through the same thing. Yes. And so you're encouraging one another, so one is down, lift them up.
That's true. And professors.
Yes, yes.
I have a story. I'll never forget in calculus. I wasn't the math whiz, but I held my own, right? But here comes calculus, and calculus 2, as a matter of fact. I just could not grasp it for some reason. I don't know if I had a mental block with calculus or not. And I went to my professor, Dr. Hawkins, and I said, Dr. Hawkins, I can't do this. I need to withdraw from this class. I need to, and he listened. He listened to me intently. And then he looked at me and he said, that's not an option. I'm here, and I'm here to help you. And together, I'm going to make sure that you get this. Absolutely. And I got it, But what I loved, and I heard this from other students as well, you didn't give up on me.
That's right.
If I was in a major institution, they would have said, oh, yeah, you need to withdraw.
Yeah. Right.
They don't do that at our institutions. They really take the time to educate us and to make certain that we get exactly what it is that we need and excel in it.
Listen, I was on that academic probation, and I found myself. No, it's true. I'm telling you, because it's the truth. Because I had to build myself up, and see, systems are created to make you feel like you're inferior. So when you are not the majority. Oh, you can speak well. Oh, you do this well, and then it's like, hey, this is what we do. We're all well. But I found myself on academic probation in Dean Garibaldi's office. And he said, write me a note, write me a letter about why, you should be at Xavier. So I sat there and I wrote it down. This was all before computers and all. So he read my letter and he said, you know what, you are a fantastic writer. You can write. And that gave me so much, and the encouragement, and I just peaked up and I kept on going. And so, yes, you get built up.
Yeah, what Mayor Cantrell is talking about, and Therese, all of us really, is at HBCUs you find an ethic of care.
Yes.
Right? And that's what the scholarship says. These institutions have an ethic of care because they have an invested interest in watching us succeed. It's not about the statistics or making sure that they get, the right numbers for rankings.
Right.
These institutions have an ethic of care and an investment in making sure that we graduate and see it through. And even if we need to take a pause, because that's the other thing we don't talk about HBCUs, everybody's focused on the 4-year graduation rate or the 6-year graduation rate. Some of these students take breaks, but they can always come home. They can always come home and re-enter and reinvest. They've been investing in their families, taking jobs. We saw that with COVID. Yes. We saw that with Katrina. You needed to take a break. You had to take a breather. And the institutions are sitting there waiting for you to return. So it's an ethic of care. There's a other mothering, there's a other fathering. You find family and peers but those professors, those deans, those presidents of those institutions are there to support you as well.
Well, life happens, and one thing we know firsthand, being raised in the black family and the black community, regardless of where you are in the country, life happens while you're also investing in yourself. And so you have people who create that system of care for you that understand life happens, but we're right on here for you, baby. And so I'm just grateful. Thank you to UNCF. We're here to encourage investment in the UNCF Mayor's Mass Ball.
That's
Give
right.
us that date.
March 22nd, Saturday, March 22nd. Be there.
And it's the 20th year after Hurricane Katrina. We heard, Doctor, we talked about when you were in school and during Katrina, and how our schools were a real anchor in this city, coming back stronger. And our young people were a part of that. And so we want to say, hey, double down on that investment for the 20th year.
That's right.
And I know it'll be my last one as mayor, but we're going to keep it going.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, keep it going.
Well, thank you all so much, and this was a phenomenal panel, and thank you for tuning in to City News.
Thank you.
Thank you.